Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Idipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavido anuttaro purisa dhamma sarathi sattha deva manussanam buddho bhagavati. Namo tassa samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to welcome you all here to the British Council tonight. Lots of new faces, so I'm really pleased to see everyone here. You'll notice that we're doing a dual mic system here, and it's because we are currently live casting via the eNarada website for this book launch. So we will be able to reach much further than outside of this room. So for that, I'm very pleased. We are here tonight to launch an English translation of Mr. Chinnaswamy's poems called Before It Rains Again. It's published by a UK publisher with a UK translator, and I'm very excited to hear what will be said today. Obviously, as a library, we are a lover of literature, poetry, not least amongst them. And you know, we don't often have these sort of launches of translated poetry, because of course, I mean, poetry is an art, there's no doubt about that. Translation itself is actually quite an art. So I'll be interested to hear tonight, to hear how well the translation respected your work. I mean, obviously, you seem very pleased with it in the book, and I'm very pleased about that. But I'm really looking forward to finding out more about what the poems mean to you, sir, about what they mean to our distinguished guests. That I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about. And I'd also be interested to hear how the act of translation has impacted on it from your perspective. Obviously, hopefully it helps it reach a wider audience. That's one benefit, but does it capture the emotion that you want to get through? So I'll be very interested to hear more about that tonight. So let me not hold you any longer, but obviously welcome you again to the British Council here in Bangalore, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful event. So welcome everybody, and thank you, sir.
Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy Academy of Buddhist Science. ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ ಅನೇಕ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊತ್ತು ಆ ಮೂಲಕ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ರಿಯಾಶೀಲ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಯ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇವತ್ತು. ಅದನ್ನು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮಹಾಬೋಧಿ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯ ಪ್ರಮುಖರಾದಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆನಂದ್ ಬಂತೇಜಿಯವರು ನೆರವೇರಿಸಿಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರು ಹಾಕುವ ಮೂಲಕ ನೀರೆರೆಯುವ ಕೆಲಸ ತುಂಬ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂಥ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಎರಡು ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂಥ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇರೋದರಿಂದ ಪುಸ್ತಕದ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಅದನ್ನು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರವಿವರ್ಮ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಲಾಂಚಿಂಗ್ ದ ಬುಕ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇಟ್ ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್.
ಸುಂದರ ಸಮಾರಂಭದ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ ಅನಂತ್ ಬಂತೇಜಿಯವರೇ, ಹಿರಿಯರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CN ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರರವರೇ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ರೂವಾರಿಗಳಾದ ಗೆಳೆಯ ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರೇ ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ನ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರೇ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿಯಾಗಿ, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಓದುವವನಾಗಿ ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕವನ್ನು ಲೋಕಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡುವ ಒಂದು ಸದಾವಕಾಶವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಗೌರವಯುತವಾದ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಅಪರೂಪದ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಈ ಗೌರವಕ್ಕೆ ಗೆಳೆಯ ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಭಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕವಿತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಓದೋರು ಭಾಳ ಕಮ್ಮಿ, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಓದೋರೇ ಕಮ್ಮಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕವಿತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಓದೋರು ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಮ್ಮಿ. ಅಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ಗೆ ತರ್ಜುಮೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಲೋಕಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಾಹಸ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇಟ್ ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಕವಿತೆಗಳು ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿರಿಸುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಅನಾವರಣಗೊಳಿಸ್ತವೆ. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿಂತಲೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಭಾರತದ ಒಂದು ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, ದಿ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, there is no parallel anywhere in the world. We have seen apartheid in other countries. I had been to South Africa to study apartheid when apartheid was in its full swing at the invitation of African National Congress. It is a very barbaric discrimination and very brutal one at that. But after the whites exploited the blacks, end of the day, they never hesitated to shake hands or invite them for a dinner. And it was very common after working in one establishment, both the whites and blacks get together, dine together, dance together, and then go back. Then come back in the morning and again practice apartheid, exploit the blacks, and then continue their exploitation. But in India, we don't have racial discrimination. Nevertheless, our society is divided vertically. And to use the language of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, it's a hierarchical society. And as a hierarchical society, it is a graded inequality that has been established in this society. An ascending order of reverence. As you climb up the ladder, the castes demand reverence, respect. So Baba Sahib calls it ascending order of reverence and descending order of contempt. As you go down the ladder, you start disliking the caste, you start hating the caste, you start practicing all kinds of evil things against the caste as you go down, and the caste prejudice is writ large as you go down. And the ultimate, this thing, it's wrong to say it's ultimate, But anyway, at the bottom of it is untouchability. In Karnataka, we not only have untouchability, we even have unhearability. In the neighboring Tamil Nadu, we have unseeability. The very sight of a particular caste people is polluting. And in Karnataka, the very hearing of a certain community people or their names is a polluting factor. This aspect of pollution is not known anywhere outside India. Even the apartheid South Africa never considered or practiced pollution in their apartheid aspects. Though we say we don't have apartheid, in India we have about 5.5 lakh villages. Not a single village gives a site or a house to a non-touchable. All the untouchables are kept out of the villages. So, we have labor camps, as Baba Saheb Ambedkar put it, labor camps attached to the main village. In Karnataka, we have 29,000 villages. Attached to these 29,000 villages, we find 30,000 hamlets, which are ethnic habitats earmarked for a single caste or a tribe. Normally, the untouchables, even when they are touchables like Gollas, they are nomadic or semi-nomadic, Hadis in the forests, and they are exclusive ethnic habitats. So, after coming back from Africa, I started wondering, are we right in practicing this exclusion? Is this not apartheid itself? Because as you know, apartheid is a Dutch word meaning aparthood or living apart, staying apart, residing apart, and we are residing apart. Nothing but apartheid. In fact, when I was in South Africa, I wanted to raise this issue with Nelson Mandela, with whom I was slated to have a dinner on the penultimate day of a program that was scheduled there to prepare their draft constitution. Unfortunately, that day, Mandela's house was set on fire and he could not attend the conference. So I could not discuss that. And I tried to meet him when he visited India as president of liberated South Africa. I could not meet him. But what is very disturbing is we were at the forefront of the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, and we never looked at ourselves practicing apartheid in our own country, which is much older than the South African apartheid. It is that practice of apartheid, our very good friend Mr. Chinnaswamy has captured it in all its dimensions and portrayed it in a very touching tribute to the so-called untouchables who are day in and day out subjected to social discrimination. I am extremely happy that his poem has received an international recognition, and Rowena Hill has taken courage to translate it, and the publishers have come forward to publish it, and more importantly, British Council has come forward to launch the book. That by itself is a great service to humanity by publishing to the whole world the practice of untouchability in all its dimensions through our learned friend Mr. Chinnaswamy's poems. There are several poems. In fact, it will be preposterous on my part to speak anything on the poems when CNR is here and who is definitely going to authoritatively say. But in every poem you can see the deep sense of anguish Chinnaswamy has himself experienced, if not witnessed. He has portrayed it so well, and particularly the poem on scrap of a scrap of food, for a scrap of food, where a distress sale of the child is made. It's a very touching poem, brings tears to your eyes. Like that, there are hundreds of such poems, dozens of such poems, and a case with which I was very intimately associated on bonded labor. He has captured it in his poem beautifully, in the poem of the Roman slave and the bonded laborer of Hangarahalli. Then in his poem Loneliness, Standing on My Head, etc., he brings out the isolation the poet has experienced in his life, espousing his cause, this cause of eradicating untouchability. Child Born from the Feet is a tribute to our famous poet Kuvempu, and praising Panchamantra which he gave to the mankind. The sheep promised for the feast shows the rebel in Chinnaswamy. He is not a docile Kanaka, which we find bonded to Udupi temple even when he was denied entry. But poet Chinnaswamy would run away with his flute, and all the underdogs of this nation would have become children of the flute. That is what he has written beautifully. Then for there are other poems also. I think I should stop here and do not comment anything more on these poems. On the whole, I am extremely happy and proud that my learned friend Mr. Chinnaswamy has received international recognition, and his poems have been translated to English, and that I have the honor of releasing that book. So I wish him all the best. I'm sure this is only a beginning, and we are definitely going to have many more collection of poems to be published, and definitely British Council will give us the opportunity to further launch such collection of poetry translated into English. So I wish him all the best, and incidentally, a very interesting thing has happened today. An institution is born. That shows the creativity of the poet. Normally, poets don't bother about creating institutions. They only either comment or write about an institution, but never show the kind of creativity to establish an institution. I am extremely happy to hear and be a part of this program, where such a wonderful institution conceived to take forward his mission, which has already received great attention in his poems. So I wish this institution also the very best, and I thank all the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be here. Thank you very much.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರವಿ ವರ್ಮಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರೇ. ರವಿ ವರ್ಮಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ಪಿ ಸಾಯಿನಾಥ್ ಅವರ ನೆನಪು ಬರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಹಿ ಸೇಸ್ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ 2 Indias ಇನ್ 1 India, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ IPL ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ BPL ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಅಸಮಾನತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಮುಂದೆ ರಾಚ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ತಾನೇ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ 3 ಜನ ಸಫಾಯಿ ಕರ್ಮಚಾರೀಸ್ ನಾವು ಬುಲೆಟ್ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ತರೋ ಮಾತಾಡೋವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಜನ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಸಫಾಯಿ ಕರ್ಮಚಾರಿಗಳು ತಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 2015-16ನಲ್ಲಿ 1370 ಜನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಸೆಪ್ಟಿಕ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಳಿದು. ಈ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರವಿ ವರ್ಮಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಮಯೋಚಿತವಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಮುಡುಗೋಡು ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವರ ಪದ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾದು ಹೋಗುವಂಥ ಎಳೆನೇ ಅದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ತುಂಬ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆನಂದ್ ಬಂತೇಜಿ. ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರವಿ ವರ್ಮಕುಮಾರ್, ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ CN ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರನ್, ಮತ್ತು ಕವಿಗಳಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮುಡ್ನಕೂಡು ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿ. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Professor CNR to talk about the book. Thank you.
Respected dignitaries on the stage and in the audience. Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy is a poet with 6 collections of poetry, a playwright, a short story writer, and a writer of very deep discursive works. In all, he has written 30 works. Of his poetry, some 48 poems selected from various collections of Dr. Mudnakudu have been translated into English by Ravina Hill. And all the poems, 48 poems, in one way or another, are on Dalit experience in India, in the Hindu society, or relationships among the Dalits and non-Dalits, and the religious, social, and financial exploitation of the Dalits by the non-Dalits, and also on the nature of poetry and the kind of poetry that Dr. Mudnakudu wants to write. Before I proceed further and answer the question which many people asked, how well is he communicative in English? How well do Ravina Hill's translation sound for an English reader? Before I go into that, I would like to share an incident. Just a week ago, in order to say something in this august audience, I was reading the poems in English translation in this book, and it so happened that my daughter, who lives very nearby and who teaches English in a reputed college, came to see me, and she saw me reading it. The very first poem is, "If I Were a Tree." She saw that and said, "Oh no, you mean this is the collection containing that poem? I have taught this for 3 years to my optional English students, BA students." Then out of curiosity I asked her, "How did it go with the students?" "I just can't describe it," she said. The poems were so moving that after I finished talking about it and discussing the poem, they just kept quiet for a few minutes. And then they came to me and said, "Madam, are there any more such poems which we can read?" And I was happy to tell them what other poems they could read. This is a tribute, the students getting moved with an English translation of a Kannada poem. This is a tribute both to the translator, Ravina Hill, and the poet, Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy. I said the poem in translation. What do I mean by that? Whenever I think of the act of translation, I remember the mythical bird, which for many centuries was the royal insignia of Mysore kingdom. That is Gandabherunda bird. It's not a real bird, it's a mythical bird, but still it is there. And it has two faces or two heads looking at in opposite directions. If one looks at right, the other looks left. And somehow I believe the act of translation makes such antipodal demands on the part of the translator. That is, on the one hand, there is the original work, the poems by Dr. Mudnakudu or the novels by Anantmurthy or whatever. And it says, it demands, be faithful to me. Don't change anything of me. I want you to be completely, totally faithful and loyal to me. And the translator has to say, okay, I will. But then the reader of the English translation also makes a similar demand. I don't care who the author is in what language. What I read must be intelligible to me. Otherwise, why should I read? Whether it's a translation of a great poet or a lesser poet, it doesn't matter to me. I should be gaining something from reading it. That is, it should be intelligible. These two demands, intelligibility on the part of the translated text and fidelity to the original text, are contradictory to each other. Normally you can fulfill only one, but most of the times Ravina Hill very sensitively, very sincerely and very lovingly has tried to meet both the demands. On the one hand, I have compared the original with most of the poems here. She has been very faithful to the original poems. She hasn't changed a single line. She hasn't introduced any idea of her own. Whatever there is in the poem, she has tried to communicate the same experience to the reader of the English translation. That's how she meets the first demand. On the other hand, she has carved for herself such a style in English that the English reader thinks that this cannot be something distant. This cannot be something remote. I can understand it. I can feel. I can get the experience out of it, the English reader says. This is the success that Ravina Hill has achieved as a translator. But words do not go far, because we want facts, especially when advocates are there, very senior advocates. We need facts. Words don't go. And therefore, let me just give you one or two instances of how well Ravina has translated the poems, and then move on to the next poet. The very first one I would like to read, a part of it, because I know there isn't much time. A part of it is what I said about my daughter teaching it in the BA class. That is, if I were a tree. This is a poem which is shaped by irony, through and through. It is shaped by irony. We think that human beings are superior to non-human beings, and especially immovable objects like the trees or the rocks, etc. And in this poem, we find the poet wondering whether he would better be a tree, because he says, if I were a tree, the bird wouldn't ask before it built its nest on the branches what caste I am. A tree has no caste. A bird has no caste. And the nest it builds has no caste either. When sunlight embraced me, my shadow wouldn't feel defiled. When sunlight embraced me, my shadow wouldn't feel defiled. My friendship with the cool breeze and the leaves would be sweet. Nothing would be polluted or defiled. I mean, this is the kind of irony that Mudnakudu uses throughout. It is a sort of an irony which suffuses the whole poem, but it never becomes a rant. He never shouts from the housetops, because that way one can close one's ears. But here, the kind of irony he uses pierces one's heart and forces one, compels one to think over what he is wondering. If we are living in a society where being a tree is better than being a human being, one begins to wonder whether it's a society. Let me take another instance, that is the title poem, Before It Rains Again. See the irony here. Rain, in any language, in any culture, in any society, stands for life, life-giving water. And without rains, no life can be sustained on the earth. Therefore, everyone wishes for, begs for, prays to God always, and does anything that culture demands, so that there could be rains. And with rains, there could be good crop and harvest. And that's how life goes on. It is the most important life-giving gift of God or nature, whatever. But it is not so for one section of the Hindu society. And that is the poor Dalits. They wish there were no rains. And when it begins to rain, the voice here says, when does it stop? Please stop. What's the reason? The reason is this. The house belonged to my grandfather's time. The thatch laid round the center pole, ragged under the rain, its old times umbrella. There aren't enough tins and plates for the leaks around the edges. When the roof has many holes and the rain begins to pour down, normally in the villages we keep certain vessels there so that the water doesn't flow and it is caught there. But how many pots can you have? Because there are so many holes on the ceiling. There aren't enough tins and plates for the leaks around the edges. Hollows form in the dung floor for pieces in a children's game. And there are hollows made because of the trickling of the rainwater. And they serve as the pots where marbles are played by children. And they can't sleep at night because they are wet through and through. And during the day they can't work because in the rain they don't get any work. And if they don't work, they can't eat anything. And therefore, the old man, see how everything is structured here, almost unconsciously. First of all, the very title and the poem is ironic. More than that, the poem begins with a ragged, old, thatched house which is about to collapse. And it ends with a man wishing to collapse. And it says, the bellows of father's mouth forces out his words. Son, reshuffle the roof tiles. See that, reshuffle. Whatever there is, put that here, there, and take it out and put it here. That's all. No new tiles can be got because they are so poor. The bellows of father's mouth forces out his words. Son, reshuffle the roof tiles before it rains again. If you don't do it, then there won't be any hurt at all. It would be just flood. Son, reshuffle the roof tiles before it rains again, or otherwise carry away my dead body. That is, if the roof isn't repaired, I would certainly be dead, and you will have to carry my dead body on a wet day. This is how, with searing irony, almost hurting irony, here is Mudnakudu, who poem after poem exposes the economic exploitation of the Dalits. There is a poem, a sort of a conversation between the father and the son goes on asking his father because he wants answers. I mean, you work throughout the day, why aren't you paid? Well, we are workers, it's our fate. That's all, Hane Baraha. All right, you grow, you till the soil and you grow crop. Why don't you get any share in that crop? Well, it's written there. That is how they work, but they don't get the profit, benefit out of the work. They work for the sake of others. And similarly, religious exploitation in the name of ignorance. There is another poem where the priest in Yellamma temple gets bored because he is alone and I think in the poem, he is not married, and therefore he wants some fun, and therefore he prays to the goddess, and she asks him, what do you need? I am bored. I want to see women, especially the parts that every man would like to see. Tathastu, she says, all right. And there then onwards began the naked worship of Yellamma. In other words, this particular story may be a satire, but the point is naked worship and those who participate in it have become a sort of fun-yielding machines for the rich, for the well-to-do people, for the upper-class people of the society. For them, it could be some religious ordeal. They might really believe it. For the rest of the society, it is just a means of fun. Fun at the cost of those poor women who are supposed to go naked, pass through them to please God. This is how, one after another, all these poems talk about the different types of suffering that the Dalits are forced to go through. They are not allowed to go inside the temple. I mean, that's one of the finest poems here. He says, the poet says there, when I go to the temple, when people go to the temple, others leave their footwear, chappals outside, and go in and pray to God. When I go, I stand myself outside in the place of the sandals or the footwear because I am not allowed inside. And all those people store the chappals here and there, and they don't look at me at all because after all I am a chamara, that is a one who works with leather. That is, they are denied even a glimpse of God, though God is supposed to love everyone, created and uncreated, born and dead and all. This is how the poems point out the cruel paradoxes that are hidden in the society very successfully. And even if we forget the original poems and read only the translations, we get almost the same kind of, I am using the word almost because no translation could do complete justice to the original poem, but almost the same kind of experience is given, and it disturbs. whenever I use this word, it disturbs, and the poems are so successful, I get embarrassed. And I get a sort of guilty. The reason is, there is a wonderful book which came out, I believe, about 20 years ago. I don't know how many of you have read it. It is written by one Anand at Chennai, and it is called Touchable Tales. Touchable Tales. And what he argues in that small book is this. For the last, let us say, 3 to 4 decades, Dalit literature in all languages, especially in Marathi, Kannada, and I am sure in Tamil also, Dalit literature has become very popular, and people do read, and they pay compliments to the writer. The Dalit literature gets translated and it gets complimented and praised and all. But what about the writers? Anand says they still remain untouchables. Their tales are touchable, but they, whose tales they are still untouchable. In other words, even when we praise the poetry or the prose or the fiction of Dalit writers, we are praising only the poetic part of it. Maybe because it gives us some vicarious pleasure, maybe because it gives us some experience which is totally strange to us, or whatever. But if the writers come home, we don't treat them as touchable. They still remain untouchable. That's the kind of paradox that Anand talks about. And therefore, when we read Dalit literature, should we say it is great literature? Should we say something more? When does this come to an end? In one of the poems, the poet asks, when does this come to an end? And that's the question, I believe, that all of us must ask. Because again, there's a sort of a inexplicable contradiction in our Hindu society. Since Pampa, the first great epic poet, 1100 years ago, 10th century poet, since Pampa, every poet has spoken against caste discrimination and other kinds of discrimination. And everyone has dramatized the point that people should love one another and they should live together, united, in harmony, and all that. Manushya jati tanonde valam, said Pampa. I mean, there are no castes, there are no creeds, all human beings are the same. Still, even today, after 1100 years, it continues. The Vachanakaras fought against the caste system. They wrote great poetry. I mean, in quotation marks, I am using these words. They wrote great poetry against discriminations. Still, it continues. Raghavanka, of course, gave it a very tragic touch through the Dalit women who danced and sang before King Harishchandra and pleased him. But when they asked him to marry them, he said, "Oh no, I belong to such a great clan, such a great son lineage. How dare you ask me that? You are there. I mean, you can't even think of it." Then they ask, 13th century Raghavanka, "Our song was delightful and you had no objection to hear that, and your ears didn't get polluted. Your eyes saw us and they were happy to see us. They weren't polluted. But only our touch, that is one of the 5 senses alone, has this sense of what should be touched and what shouldn't be and what gets polluted and what not. How come?" And Harishchandra has no answer. And still the society continues the same. In one of the poems, Mudnakudu himself says that Buddha came there and he taught us harmony, to live together, And then there came other saints and the Vachanakaras, Basavanna, and then Gandhi, and I am sure there will be many, many more. The society remains the same. It might respect their poetry or their works of art or whatever, but that's all. They, as human beings, do not get any kind of either love or fellow feeling as long as there is this varnashrama system in society. So what should I do? Where is an end? This is the last one I am quoting. This is the poem, Only Ash Knows the Heat. I mean, the titles again are so pointed. Only ash knows the heat, not the one who is at a distance and talks about it, what color it is and all that. And there he goes on asking the same questions. How long does it go on? Does it end? And then he says, it does end. When? Now they can't burn me. Now they can't burn me, they burn themselves trying to grab me, because I am turned into the letter that burns ignorance, myself a witness to the deathless truth. So it is the letter, education, alone that can save a Dalit and also the non-Dalits. There is one more poem in which the poet argues that both the Dalits and non-Dalits are the victims of similar myths. That is, those who don't want to touch and those who are not to be touched, both are victims of a particular ignorant system. And if it has to go, only the letter, education, only that can make it go. I hope it is true, and I hope a day comes when everyone, Dalit, non-Dalit, poor, rich, gets educated, and because of education overcomes these discriminations, and there would be someday a kind of an egalitarian society even amongst the Hindus. Thank you all very much for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you, sir.
ಮೂಡ್ನಕೋಡು ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರು ಅಂದ್ರೇ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಆ ಪದ್ಯ ನೆನಪಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ ಐಕಾನಿಕ್ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಅಂತ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪದ್ಯ ಅದು. ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರನ್ ಅವರು ಆ ಸಾಲುಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅನುರಾಧ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಠಸ್ಥವಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಸಾಲುಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ದ ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಸಜೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ದ ಪೋಯಮ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಬುಕ್. ಅವರು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಮಿತಿನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರು. ಅವರು ಪಠ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಅಳವಡಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಅವರು ಈ ಪದ್ಯವನ್ನು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರ ತರಗತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ರೋಮಾಂಚನ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಚ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬಯಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅನುರಾಧ, ವಿ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಯು ಹಿಯರ್.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ to the dignitaries on the days and the dignitaries and my dear friends here. I happen to be the chairperson of the first and second year pre-university English textbooks of Karnataka. And my association with Professor Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy started while we were in quest. We were questing for a poem that would be presented to the adolescent, which would address a social issue. The students should feel, and also they should be able to react to what the theme would be. It was then in this quest that I met Professor Chinnaswamy. We went through his collection of poems, which was translated by Rowana Hill. Each poem was so full of reality, and the facts brought home tears. Every word, every letter, and we could read in between lines. We read between lines and beyond the lines. Each line had a meaning to say. Each word had pain in it. But at the end of the day, the committee, we were so sad and melancholic. We started weeping, actually, because most of us are from the city-based areas where we had not experienced this at all. We had not experienced untouchability at all because we were born and brought up in Bangalore. And it was so shocking for us. And I would again rush back to Chinnaswamy sir and ask him, is it really so? And each time he would say, it is so. And he would again and again narrate experiences. And I wouldn't believe. Then he would say, no, madam, it has happened with me. And finally, we chose If I Was a Tree. And again, the title said, If I Were a Tree. There was a lot of difference between was and were. Many people said it should be If I Was a Tree. But the title there says, If I Were a Tree. So there, the title itself says, he imagines himself to be a tree. He feels being a tree is much better than being a human being. Which talks about the indiscrimination in nature. Nature has no discrimination. Why discrimination in the products of nature? And it very strikingly points out his desire to be born as a tree and at least to be the firewood for the funeral. That is much better than being born as a human being in a society which is full of discrimination. It was really touching. And by now, more than 20 lakh students have gone through this poem. Each year, 6 lakh students read this poem. And many of them have become his fans. They keep on calling me for his number. And I keep telling them, please don't disturb him from morning to evening. You form a group and one from the group represent and talk to him. So they keep asking him and they keep calling him for almost all the gatherings everywhere. And I have gone from all over the districts we are supposed to go as a I'm supposed to go as a chairperson. And everywhere they wanted Dr. Chinnaswamy to address them. And I would tell them, it is not possible for him to come everywhere. So you form groups and why don't you come down to Bangalore and meet him? And the urban students were unaware of this discrimination. And in the class, I would almost feel them shivering. When I would speak about untouchability, I myself would shiver and I would make the students also shiver. Because it is such a trauma. To be born as a Dalit, what is their sin just because they are born as a Dalit? Is this a sin? And for that reason, do they have to undergo so much of trauma, so much of suffering, so much of pain? And the poem was a super hit, and it in very simple words. And he also talks about a cow scraping its body against the tree. And there are so many gods. As per the Hindu tradition, they say many gods are there in the cow. When the cow can touch the tree also never asks, the cow also never feels. But we as human beings, when we want to touch someone, we just try to find out. And another incident I heard, I am not very sure about this, in Haveri, a professor told me that after this poem was spoken in the classroom, a few students wished to marry Dalit girls. They wanted to start a revolution. And they were very particular that they should marry a Dalit girl. They are still in second PUC. I hope they do that very soon. So this is the impact his poem has on the students and maybe later on the society. A day may come when we will have a caste-free, class-free society. And he was a guide, a mentor, and now he is a friend to 6 lakh students every year. I'm so honored that I'm standing here in front of the intellectual gathering and talking about a person who is very, very, very high, and I cannot explain. I am so moved by the occasion, and I keep meeting him now and then, and I keep talking to him about so many social reforms. And now, since he has started an Academy of Buddhist Sciences, I think we all will get a platform to start something on this grounds.
Now I request Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy to ಪುಸ್ತಕದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಪದ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಓದಬೇಕು, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಓದಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲೂ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು.
Venerable Ananda Banteji, Dr. C.N. Ramachandran, Professor Ravi Verma Kumar, Mr. Leighton Ernstberger, and Mrs. Arati, and the enlightened audience. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಭಾಷಣಗಳನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾ ಹೇಳೋದು ಏನು ಉಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. I am really speechless now. I am overwhelmed. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದೆರಡು ಪದ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷು ಮತ್ತು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತೇನೆ. ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಒಂದೆರಡು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. I said I have no words to speak, but I have only gratitudes to offer. I myself wonder how all this happened so far. I knew that my poems would touch the heart, the core of the heart. But how it went far and wide, it's really wonderful. And I'm grateful to my translator Rovina Hill, who was in Mysore in 2002 and 3. We came in contact there somehow, and she wanted to translate the poems into Spanish. She did it first and then to English. And Spanish collection was published 10 years back. No, more than that, 2005 itself. And the English poems were waiting. You know, the poems, there are no takers for poems in India and elsewhere. So I had to wait for a long time, and somehow, and I met Dr. Nicole Thiara of Nottingham University and Judith Misra Barak from France. And this somehow came, all the people across the country, came together to make this happen. And it consummated now as a collection of poetry, which is much wanting. I am grateful to all these people and the publishers. When I was reading poems in various places at Nottingham, Dr. Taylor, Andrew Taylor, was there, and he took interest in publishing this. It became a reality. And here, there are many friends who wanted to see that this book is being released here, and I approached Mr. Leighton, and he, after seeing the book, he readily agreed. Yes, we will do it, and he has hosted this beautiful function. I am really grateful for all those for this who are responsible for this function. And what shall I say? I'll read a few poems. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿರುವ ನಾನೊಂದು ಮರವಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ, shall I read it in English or Kannada?
ಎರಡೂ ಮಾಡಿ
ಬಿಡು.
ಮೊದಲು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್.
ನಾನೊಂದು ಮರವಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಹಕ್ಕಿ ಗೂಡು ಕಟ್ಟುವ ಮುನ್ನ ಕೇಳುತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ನೀನು ಯಾವ ಕುಲ. ಬಿಸಿಲು ನನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಾಗ ನೆರಳಿಗಾಗುತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಮೈಲಿಗೆ. ತಂಬೆಲರ ಕೂಡ ಎಲೆಗಳ ಸ್ನೇಹ ಮಧುರವಾಗಿರುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಮಳೆಹನಿಗಳು ನಾನು ಶ್ವಪಚನೆಂದು ಹಿಂದೆ ಸರಿಯುತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಅದರ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್. ಇಫ್ ಐ ವರ್ ಎ ಟ್ರೀ, the bird wouldn't ask before it built its nest what caste I am. When sunlight embraced me, my shadow wouldn't feel defiled. My friendship with the cool breeze and the leaves would be sweet. Raindrops wouldn't turn back, taking me for a dog eater. When I branched out further from my roots, Mother Earth wouldn't flee shouting for a bath. The sacred cow would scrape her body on my bark, scratching wherever it itched. And the 300,000 gods sheltering inside her would touch me. Who knows, at the end, hacked into pieces of dry wood, burning in the holy fire, I might be made pure, or, becoming a bear, for a sinless body, be borne on the shoulders of 4 good men. So, one more I will read. ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ನಾನು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಚಪ್ಪಲಿಯನ್ನು ಹೊರಗೆ ಬಿಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಹೊರಗಿರುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಚೆಮ್ಮಾರನ ಕಾಲುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡ ಚಪ್ಪಲಿ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ನಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಕಚ್ಚಿದಾಗ ಆಗುವಂತೆ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಸ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಐ. When I go to the temple, I don't leave my sandals outside. I stay outside myself. Sandals on a cobbler's feet is news as rare as a man biting a dog. All legs that leave their sandals outside surge over me. I am a plant. My work's my root. They don't understand that. Like a crane stretching its neck at a dried up pond or waterhole, I stand on tiptoe, peering at the figure of God, stealing all I can see of it. The glittering jewel in the diadem, and I see among dozens of heads, expands into the soft couch and the rearing snake umbrella. Once I saw the diamond-studded crown, the necklace, and the sacred thread. The sacred lamp burns on its platter. Bells are clanging. The leather sandals under my feet become hot iron. The ground falls away. My damp body burns with flames. I am like the faithful Garuda column. Keeping its distance, I throw incense in the pot of embers in front of it. And when smoke rises, I feel grateful. The people who go near the gods, offering money, perambulating, sometimes look at me and look through me. My mind is only on God. They receive flowers and sandal paste in the sanctum, but their souls are with the shoes they left outside. As I stand every day on the porch, craning my neck and peering, my soul becoming pure, grows close to the gods inside. So, thank you. ಅಧೋಗತಿ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪದ್ಯ, ಇದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪದ್ಯನೇ ಇದೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಫಿಲ್ದಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂತ. This is about the night soil carrier, the life, how he starts and ends with. Filthy state. On this beautiful spring morning, as I brush my smiling flowers, pass among sprouting, swaying buds in the clean, breezy dawn air. Carrying shit as usual, today something bothers me. Who sprayed scent in my rotten, sweaty armpits? For sure, there are fleshy growths in my nose. The stench ebbs and rises again. Where have the flies gone that were buzzing round my head? Have they been drawn away by wreaths of grown lotuses, nourished by the night soil? This dry shit of summer is a little lighter, not that coiling burden of wet mess, slipping on my head, dripping foul round in my ears. I do not want, sir, that rainy season mire. For me, the morning is not so simple, brother. It's a morning dim with my degrading work, a clean morning for you if I remove your shit. Only when I have been and gone, the plants in your yard smile and shine. Saraswati at the base of the hand, Lakshmi in the middle, Gauri at the fingertips, is their morning greetings to the goddesses. If I open my eyes, I see the slippers and backsides of Lakshmi, Saraswati, Gauri of my street. Except for husbands, wives and doctors, shit bearers only are allowed to see the bastard brown secret organs. The unwritten Shastras say so, and after all, they also know my eyes are piles, crushed and oozing blood. I have no prayer to be in the next life. I have no prayer to be in the next life a crippled beggar at the front door. I have had enough of this shit bearer's backdoor role. Aren't the leftovers better than shit? Lately, I am disturbed by social reformers who sympathize with me. Why don't they understand if I am alone? If I alone I am pure, whole villages are defiled. They babble that one must eat one's own food or some such thing. The clean ozone air of spreading dawn doesn't penetrate what covers my head. The shit basket aura. If I drink clean water, won't it loosen my bowels? Wouldn't pure air give me lung disease? Why such bad thoughts now? Let it alone. From sunrise to afternoon, I do this hauling work. From backyard to door, alone the drain toward my house. When here or there some nose catches the smell of clean oil, cooking pappadams and the like, I feel sick and get over it only when I find in front yards of my own street, a rangoli drawn in shit by the children. In the middle of my house, my youngest child has sat. My wife's immune to careless dirt, it's only child shit. And sits beside it eating. Flies hover over the dry meat and wounds are stuck to skin. Last, after the meal I make a pillow for a while of my dirty hand, lean my neck on it. Now I must get ready for the evening round. I blink my bleary eyes. Is there no end to this filthy state? Thank you. So I have, this is really a wonderful production. I must remember now Mr. Alan Corkish, who is the editor of this book, and he has taken meticulous interest in creating this. Everybody who sees says it's a very good production. I thank everyone who is associating. Mr. Alan, you told me that you're watching this program. I thank you very much. Before this translation, there were many translations also. I should remember my friends who had some, as Madam Anuradha said, if I were a tree, and Aarti also said it, it's a flag-bearing poem. Whoever remembers me, and they definitely remember this poem. And Professor Nagarna has translated for the first time and sent it to Indian literature with many more poems, and they were published there. And Professor Gangadhar Murthy has translated it and brought it to another textbook some years back, and that was also very popular, and many more. Ramachandra Sharma has translated. Dr. D.R. Nagaraj has written about that poem in the Deccan Herald, and many people have done it. I should be grateful to all of them. And as a collection, Rowena Hill has brought it wonderfully well. I am grateful to, whether I am able to remember everyone, I do not know. I thank one and all for this wonderful work. It's reaching everyone, the poetry lovers. especially. I thank you, Mr. Layton, for this very great opportunity once again, with all the blessings of the elders here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy ಅಂದ್ರೇ ಅವರ ಮೆದು ಮಾತು ಮೊನಚು ಪದ್ಯ ಎರಡು ನೆನಪಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Very few books are available as they have to come from England. Those who are interested can pick it up at the counter, and they are at 50% off today. And I remember an incident where Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy keeps narrating whenever we meet. This is about his trip at Jerusalem. It seems after the reading, the people were so enthralled, and they came to Chinnaswamy asking whether they can touch him. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಅನ್ಟಚಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಯ್ತಂತೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಜಗತ್ತಿದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ. ಇಂಥ ಭೀಕರ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಖಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಚುವಂತಹ ಸತ್ಯ. ಬಟ್ ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿಯ ಪದ್ಯಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ದಾಟಿ ಹೃದಯದ ಜೊತೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಪದ್ಯಗಳು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಹೃದಯ ಸಂವಾದಿ ಪದ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೊನೆಯ ಘಟ್ಟದ ಫೈನಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್, ವಿ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ Dr. Anand Banteji to deliver his lecture. And Dr. Anand Banteji is a great scholar of Buddhist texts and Pali language. He heads the Mahabodhi Society in Bengaluru, which is a Buddhist charitable organization. Dr. Anand Banteji.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dr. Chinnaswamiji, Mr. Layton, our Dr. C.N. Ramchandranji, Aarti, Amma, and all the audience here and on the online. Very, very good evening, and it is my very great pleasure to be amongst you on this very special occasion of releasing of this book of Dr. Chinnaswamiji, and also launching of this academy on Buddhist sciences. Our Dr. Chinnaswamy is very long time associate of Mahabodhi Society, our Buddhist monastery in Bengaluru, and he is very often regularly attending our meditation and discourses, he and his wife. So the influence of Buddha's teaching must be quite much. That shows the long time association, shows that he is influenced by Lord Buddha and the teachings. Now, Dr. Chinnaswamy has been working silently but very effectively in bringing awareness about the very degrading situations and insulting situations that downtrodden people face. Now, it was 2,600 years ago when Lord Buddha came into this world. For the first time, we should say that he openly, clearly, and very categorically rejected what is called caste system. There are innumerable instances in Lord Buddha's time. We have 84,000 teachings of Lord Buddha, and many, many occasions we come across where Lord Buddha faces this situation of caste and religion, and where Lord Buddha has to clearly teach something to overcome this. There was for instance, there was a person called Sunita. He was a cleaner, as he read just now, this shit cleaner. And early morning, even before the people came on the streets, he had to sweep everything, clean everything, and then just vanish. Even the shadow of this person would defile others. That was the belief. So one day early morning, Lord Buddha came with his disciples, many monks, for alms round, going from house to house collecting the food. And this Sunita sees this crowd with the Buddha as the head, and he just hides behind a wall. And when the Buddha comes near, he sees that he is hiding his face to the other direction, and he don't want to be seen by anybody. Then Lord Buddha stops and he calls him, "Come here." And he asks, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am Sunita, I am a cleaner, I have to do this menial job." And Buddha asked, "Why are you standing there hiding?" He said, "Oh, even my shadow is going to pollute others, so how can I dare to come on your way?" So then Buddha says, "What nonsense. How can you say that?" Then Buddha says, every human being has the seed of enlightenment, the seed to become fully enlightened. So he asks Sunita, "Do you want to continue in this profession, or you would like to also progress on the spiritual path like my disciples?" He said, "Is it a possibility?" And the Buddha said, "Yes, very much, my dear. If you like, come on, I will take you into my Sangha, and I am going to ordain you as a monk. And you can also practice, and you can also taste the same freedom and same happiness that my disciples are experiencing." And he was shocked initially, but then after some time he thought, "Yes, what an offer. Why should I leave it?" So he becomes monk. And once he is monk, where is this caste or creed or color or nothing? He became one like ocean. Lord Buddha says, just as rivers, calling themselves with different names like Ganga or Yamuna or Kaveri, when they come and merge with ocean, they lose all their identities. Only ocean. And with one taste, and the taste, ocean has only one taste of salt. So Lord Buddha says, those who come to my Sangha, let them be from any background, social backgrounds or economic backgrounds or educational backgrounds. Once they come to me, they all become merged and become one, like ocean. And the taste of my Dhamma is only one, and that is freedom. Freedom of the mind in every sense. Freedom inside, freedom outside. Just to live the life of happiness. So this is what the Buddha taught throughout his 45 years of great mission of bringing this message of peace and love throughout the world. Now this incident is only one. There are many, and this has influenced throughout the history many people. And in modern times, as you all know, Dr. Ambedkar went to Lord Buddha because of this. This caste system is not as simple as apartheid. There it is just limited to color, some kind of discrimination, high and low. Here it is given the color of religion, the color of some kind of philosophy. I don't want to call it philosophy because it has nothing to do with philosophy. It is just a set of wrong views and wrong beliefs and methods of exploitation. That's all. So this idea, this wrong view has been penetrated so deeply into the minds of our Indian population. It has gone so deep that those who are exploiting, of course, the nature of human beings in many places is to exploit. Wherever you see some weaker people, exploit in different ways. Here, the exploiters are exploiting, and the tragedy is those who are exploited are allowing to be exploited. That is going on. In spite of so many efforts by great teachers, so many efforts in modern times, it is still there in one form or the other. And education, our professor Ramchandran ji, I think he said, education will bring change. Not just what we call this modern education is going to bring change. Education with values, with proper understanding, that is going to change. If education is meant by that, then that is going to change. You have seen so many IAS officers or other officials, lecturers, teachers, whatnot. So many people are there in different professions. They very well believe and they practice this discrimination. Even though they are educated in modern sense, but they are practicing. They believe that. Not all educated people have renounced that idea. Both sides, even those who are educated, even some IAS officers we know who are from downtrodden sections, even they comfortably believe that this varnashrama or caste system is okay for us. We will manage, we will live with this. That is the situation. They don't want to come out of it. They don't want to grow out of it just because of fear. There is fear deep inside that if I come out, what will happen to me, my family, what will be my status, what will happen to my children, how they get married, who will marry, so many issues. Apart from that, what will the God give me as a punishment? Where I will be born if I come out of this caste system. So this is the belief of educated people, and you can imagine what is the situation of uneducated people. So education means proper values and proper understanding, that which breaks wrong views. That kind of education, not just in the name of rationality, just condemning and shouting and this and that. That is also another extreme we see in modern times. No, the correct wisdom. Lord Buddha always emphasized wisdom, and that is called Buddhist science. Buddhist science deals with what is right and what is wrong. What is the right state of mind, wholesome state of mind, and what is the wrong, unwholesome state of mind. And this wholesome state brings wholesome right actions. Unwholesome states bring unwholesome actions. So the science, Buddhist science also explains about our actions, because life is made up of actions which are springing from mental states. So we have to work at the depth of our mind, and we have to change, keep on changing from negative to positive. Then only our actions, speech actions, thinking actions, or physical actions, they also keep on changing towards positive. And this understanding is Buddhist science. So actions, the mental states, and then the physical conditions. The world of matter will come, the world of mind will come, the world of actions will come under the study of Buddhist science. And it is just nothing but systematic exploration of truth. That is Buddhist science. So if this is taught and this is popularized, because Buddhism is much beyond religion. It is not just religion. It is beyond religion. It is a way of life towards happiness here and now and enlightenment. Way of life leading to happiness and enlightenment. That is Buddhism. Little bit of religious part is there, or philosophy is there, psychology is there, science and whatever you call. But ultimately, what we want is not a set of information or knowledge, but how we can live here and now a peaceful and happy life, and moment to moment grow towards full enlightenment. So this is what we can learn from Buddhist science. So Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy has started this trust to bring this Buddhist science into popularity to more people. So I wish that it will be a successful venture reaching to many, many people. So on this occasion, I once again congratulate Dr. Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy for reaching to so many people. As Professor eNarada told, lakhs and lakhs of people. I was not aware of this. Now I will ask our students. We are educating hundreds of students, and those who are in PUC, I will keep on asking if they have read this poem. So reaching to so many people is a great achievement. So I once again congratulate Chinnaswamiji and all the wonderful translator, Rowena Hill, and the publishers for bringing this wonderful book, and also with wonderful painting. Yeah, this is a wonderful painting here by, this is
Norman Showman.
Norman. Yeah, Norman Showman. Yeah, it's everything is brought out very well, and I'm sure that will also, this book will also make the minds and hearts of many people well. So with this wishes, I pray for the good health, peace of mind, and happiness of all of you and all beings in the world. Thank you so much.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಆನಂದ್ ಬಂತೇಜಿ. ಅವರು ಬೌದ್ಧ ಧರ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬುದ್ಧಿಸ್ಟ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಅದೇ ಉದ್ದೇಶವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬುದ್ಧನೆಂಬ ಸಮಾನತೆಯ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನು, ಆ ಬೆಳಕಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುವಂಥ ಮೂಡಕುಡು ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರು ಹೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ ಆಫ್ ಬುದ್ಧಿಸ್ಟ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಗಿಡ, ಜೀವದಾಯಿನಿ ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರೆರೆಯುವ ಮೂಲಕ ಅದು ಲಾಂಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದೆರಡು ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಆಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮೂಡನಕುಡು ಚಿನ್ನಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗದೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎ ಹಂಬಲ್ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್. ನೌ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎ ರಿಟೈರ್ಡ್ man. I have time apart from my literary activities. I just wanted to do something, and it's as I said, very humble beginning. Banteji ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, what is Buddhist science anta, right action. I want to tell people, more and more people, that what is right action for those who do not have that, who are despised in the society. I'll try to, we want to do that. I think I hope I need the blessings of the elders for this. Very grateful. One more important thing, Banteji has already said, this painting is from a very great artist, one Mr. Norman Showman. He resides in Canada. He was in Mysore also. As I said, too many people from different places came together, for this cause. And this was chosen by myself and my translator, Rowena Hill. As this painting really gave a good look to the book and enhanced the meaning of it. I don't have many copies, a few. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಶಿಪ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿಯರ್ ದೆನ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರ ತರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬೈ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Good evening, everybody. It was a very beautiful occasion. And speaking about the event, well, Venerable Anand Banteji and all the dignitaries, it was a very nice occasion and a very good book launch. And I would like to thank Anand Banteji for being here and gracing the occasion with his words and presence. And thank you so much. And I would also like to thank Professor Ravi Verma Kumar sir. He had to leave. Well, even he also inspired us with a lot of good words and his experience in South Africa. That was and he actually took time from his busy schedule to come and launch the book. Thank you to him also. On behalf of British Council and Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy Academy of Buddhist Sciences, and so thank you, sir. Thank you to him. And also I would like to thank Dr. C.N. Ramachandran sir for his beautiful words, and he's a very well-known scholar and a critic. Even it was very good to hear him talk about Chinnaswamy's book and his experience, what he's been through, like reading about it. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
And well, again, Lennington Ernstberg. So Langton. So he's also very the director of British Council over here. They are the translators and publishers over here. He himself said that this is like it is a British event, and even he opened his arms and welcomed us. He let us host this occasion over here, and thank you to him also in behalf of Mudnakudu Chinnaswamy Academy of Buddhist Sciences. And also thank you, ma'am, for hosting and letting this show go on very graceful, and also sharing your experience, Professor Anuradha ma'am. Thank you for sharing your experience with us and about Chinnaswamy's sir's poems and his students' experiences also. Even I myself personally got to know more about him outside the house. And also thank you to Ugandar sir also for the extended support and making this event happen. And also, last but not the least, thank you for the media also who are watching, and all the elite audiences. Thank you for gathering and making this book launch very special and very joyful. Well, thank you, and thank you one and all.
Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences KISS, Bhubaneswar, Orissa in India is world's largest fully free residential educational institute and home for 25,000 tribal children, including 15,000 girls, educating from kindergarten to post-graduation, along with vocational and life skills training, a unique initiative for social transformation.